How did a country with more kangaroos than people end up richer than the United Kingdom, Canada, and even France? We're talking about a nation with fewer people than Texas, a country that's mostly desert, and yet it's somehow sitting in the top 15 global economies. With just 0.3% of the world's population, Australia ranks right up there with nations that fought world wars, colonized continents, and built empires. So, how? Is it luck, smarts, resources, or something deeper? Something the world's overlooked? So the result? Australia has, honestly, one of the most highly skilled immigrant populations in the world. Over 30% of Australians are foreign-born, and most of them are highly educated. And, there's more to it than just that. International students flock to Australia's top universities, bringing in billions in tuition and quite often staying after they graduate, feeding right into the workforce. It's a strategy that builds both GDP and brainpower. But now we have to ask, are Australians themselves really benefiting from all this? Or is the wealth just on paper? Turns out, Australians are doing just fine. They rank number 8 on the UN Human Development Index, above the US, UK, and France. So what does that mean? It means Australians live longer, earn more, and are better educated than most people on the planet. Average salary? Well, it's over $90,000 Australian. Healthcare? Universal. Education? World class. But here's the kicker. Australia has had no civil wars, no invasions, no political coups in over a century. Compare that to Latin America, the Middle East, or even parts of Europe. This country has built its wealth not just through resources, but through stability. And honestly, in a chaotic world, that counts for everything. But stability breeds something else. Safety. And rich people around the world know exactly where to stash their cash. Sydney, Melbourne, Perth. These aren't just cities, they're investment magnets. To the ultra-wealthy, they're not homes, they're assets, safe ones. Okay, let's rewind to the year 2000. Back then, the average house in Sydney cost around $312,000 Australian. Fast forward to today, that same home goes for about $1.6 million. And honestly, it's still climbing. So what happened? Well, wealthy foreign buyers started parking their money in Australian property. Why? Because it's seen as safe, stable, and, always in demand. It's not just millionaires from Hong Kong, Singapore, and the UK. Even billionaires from Russia, China, and the Middle East see Aussie real estate as a financial fortress. But here's the twist. That same boom is pricing locals out. In cities like Sydney and Melbourne, housing affordability is honestly one of the worst in the world. So, while the rich get richer, many young Australians are stuck renting, unable to break into the market they were born into. But there's one more piece to this puzzle, and it's the style of capitalism Australia chose that makes all the difference. Unlike countries with heavy-handed governments, Australia runs on what economists call the Anglo-Saxon economic model. What does that mean? It's capitalism, with minimal government interference and maximum private sector power. Think the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, New Zealand, and, of course, Australia. This system rewards innovation, efficiency, and agility. It encourages risk-taking, punishes bureaucracy, and empowers businesses to move fast. And guess what? It's working. Australia was recently ranked the number 2 most agile economy on Earth, second only to the United States. In practical terms, that means if the global economy changes, Australia can pivot faster than almost anyone. That agility became super clear in 2008. When the global financial crisis hit, the United States and Europe buckled, banks collapsed, economies stalled. Australia, it dodged the worst of the crash and was actually one of the only major economies to avoid a recession entirely. But there's one last secret behind Australia's wealth, and it's something money just can't buy. Let's talk about something that's rarely mentioned in economics piece. Australia hasn't fought a war on home soil in over 100 years. No civil wars, no foreign invasions, no coups, no terrorist insurgencies. While much of the world has faced violence, upheaval, or constant rebuilding, Australia has just built. In the Middle East, oil-rich countries face constant instability. In Africa, mineral-rich nations are held back by corruption or war. Even parts of Europe are still recovering from 20th century scars. But Australia, it quietly kept the peace, protected its borders, and invested in infrastructure, education, and healthcare. Peace is an invisible multiplier. It keeps investors calm. It lets businesses plan decades ahead. It gives kids the chance to grow up thinking about their future, not just surviving today. And when you combine peace with resources, trade, skilled immigration, and smart governance, you get something rare. You get Australia. So let's rewind and look at what we've uncovered. A country with just 26 million people, but sitting on trillions in natural resources, with a climate that feeds millions. Trade deals with the world's biggest economies, an immigration system that brings in brains, not burdens, real estate that attracts global billionaires, a fast-moving economy with minimal government red tape, and a peaceful history that lets wealth compound without chaos. Each of these is powerful on its own, but together they form a perfect economic storm, one that's quietly made Australia one of the richest countries on Earth, and maybe one of the most underrated. That's how a country that's mostly desert became a global economic powerhouse. If this blew your mind, imagine what we'll explore next. We've got more hidden superpowers, underdog nations, and economic mysteries on the way. Hit like if you learned something new. Subscribe if you're hungry for more eye-opening geography stories. You can unsubscribe anytime, but you won't want to. Until next time, decoding the world one country at a time.